Today is Tuesday, all right? Huh? Tuesday, Tezayin Oder. And we are in Teres Menachem Sefer Mamorim Tofshin Yud Aleph, Tofshin Yud Beis, towards the end of the Mamar of Mamar Usfartem Lochem, Tofshin Yud Aleph, and we are on page Ayin Tes. The Rebbe is discussing in this Mamar the idea of Sfiras HaOmer, which is the refinement of the animal soul, specifically the refinement of the emotional faculties of the animal soul, the Midos, and he went through, if you remember, one particular midah, chesed, in all its details, chesed sheba chesed, vur sheba chesed, the midah of chesed as it is integrated from all the other midas, because in fact all the midas are integrated from each other, and that's why it's 7 times 7, since there are 7 midas, and we refine the midas, the faculties, the emotional faculties in detail. That's why it's 7 times 7. And the Rebbe, in chapter 5, Eis Hey, began to explain that the main refinement concludes on Lag BaOmer. Sfiras HaHoid, Lag BaOmer, the Sfira, the attribute associated with Lag BaOmer, Yosef of the Rashbi, is Hoid Sheba Hoid. Hoid is the end of the main aspects of the Midos. The reason being because Yesod is like a beam, like a pillar that connects the Midos to Malchus for onward transmission. So once you hit Hoid Sheba Hoid, you've basically come to the end of the main dimensions of the Midos. And Hoid Sheba Hoid, that I've explained, is conceding within conceding, meaning to say the ultimate state of acceptance of Kabbalah's El. That's Hoid Sheba Hoid. Now let's see what is the connection between that and Lag BaOmer. So we are on page Ayin Tes. The paragraph begins Ubazeh. Ubazeh Yuvan HaKesher de Lag BaOmer Rashbi. With this we will understand the connection of Lag BaOmer to Rab Shimon Bar Yochai. The Hinei, I know we did this already, but just going back a little bit. The Hinei Ha'uvda Shel Rashbi, he uses the expression Ha'uvda, and I think in the last year I pointed out that it's a unique phrase, and I thought that it might actually be a misprint, but I checked it with the publishers, and I was told that in fact on the tape, when the Rebbe says the Mamar, he uses the expression, he says specifically Ha'uvda rather than Ha'aveda. And also they pointed me to at least 2 other places in Chassidus where when one Mamar being from the Frierdiker Rebbe and one being from the Rebbe Rashab, where when he discusses the Aveda of a certain tzaddik, whether it was Yaakov Avinu or others, the expression used is ha'uvda. So even though it's a strange, unique kind, not strange, but a different and unique type of expression, it's specific. It's not an error. So ha'uvda shel Rashbi, the work of Rashbi, hoysal lekasher emek reim im emek tachas, to connect the depths of the highest levels with the depths of the lowest levels. Commission is bar le'il, as it was explained earlier. In the Sikha preceding this Mamar, the Rebbe explained that on the day, the Alter Rebbe brings in Tanya, that on the day of a person's Yortzeit, all the things that a person does, all the actions a person has done, the Avedas Hashem that the person has done throughout his life, go up on high to the highest levels. Right? Rashbi's task, Rashbi's work in this world was what? To reveal the very highest dimensions to the very lowest dimensions. In other words, he took from the highest levels of kedusha, of getlichkeit, of godliness, specifically when we talk about the Seides HaTorah, the secrets of the Torah, the inner dimension of the Torah, and he revealed them, right? Now, since on Lag BaOmer, so that is what he did throughout his life. What happens on Lag BaOmer, on the day of a person's yahrzeit? That which he has done is infused with an additional strength in terms of its connections to the highest levels. Right? So therefore, therefore the revelation of the depths from on high till the source of its source, higher and even beyond higher, in other words, to the highest level, this took place on Lag BaOmer. Which is the attribute of Hoid Shebehoid. Shezuhi, as explained before, this is Hamadrega Yeset Tachtera Baveda, the very lowest level in Avodas Hashem, because it's the end of the main dimensions of the Midas. Shebon Ishlemes Aveda the Birur Ikra Midas, in which the refinement, the main refinement of the Midas comes to its conclusion. And it's then that it could be the opening of the channel to draw down and to reveal the very essential source from above and beyond to the very lowest. Through this it should reach every single Yid. What should reach every single Yid? The revelation of the innermost dimensions of the Torah. Basically, the rule that the very highest reveals itself in what? In the very lowest, right? So Hoid Shebehoid is what? The end. Right? The end of the end of the main aspects of the Midas. So on Lag BaOmer, when we reach the level of Hoid Shebehoid, or rather, let's do the other way around. Since Rashbi's whole raison d'etre, in other words, his whole mahus, his whole function in this world was to take that very highest aspects of godliness and to bring them down to the very lowest. When is that revealed in its fullest sense? On Lag BaOmer, which is Hoid Shebehoid. So once you hit Hoid Shebehoid, once we hit this milestone of refining the main aspects of the Midas, that allows for the conditions to prevail, the necessary conditions to prevail in order to receive the very highest revelations. So that's why Rashbi's yahrzeit is on Lag BaOmer, which is Hoid Shebehoid. That's in a nutshell what the Rebbe says.
Can you just explain why it's Hoid and not Netzach, which would be the beginning of the second three Netzach on your sword? Why are you saying it's Hoid?
Well, because we, as we explained it, Netzach and Hoid actually function together. If you remember, one of the parables, one of the analogies in Chassidus for Hoid is like the Netzach and Hoid is like the two stones of the millstone, right? In other words, Netzach being the unshakable determination to carry through one's decision, but sometimes when the resolve weakens as a result of obstacles and blockages, a person can come to a state where, despite his determination, he feels that he can't. It's difficult, or it's almost impossible. Comes Hoid and says, I submit completely, irrespective of what the conditions are. So Hoid complements Netzach, and together they function and allow the person the ability to have that determination to see things through, notwithstanding whatever the prevailing challenges might be.
Hoid is connected to Gevurah, yeah?
Hoid is connected to Gevurah, correct, and correspondingly, if you go further, it's also connected to Keser. But in Oisius, Yesod, again, like as I mentioned before, Yesod is the idea of connecting the main body of the Midas to Malchus for onward transmission. So Hoid represents, once you've hit Hoid, you're basically done. Now you have to take that and transmit it further. So this becomes revealed when? On Lag BaOmer. And that is why Rashbi's yahrzeit is on Lag BaOmer, because it actually represents the whole Aveda, everything that Rashbi stood for. Where do we get the strength to open up this channel, to reach from the very highest, to take from the very, very highest levels down to the very lowest, to the Aveda, the Heid Shebeheid? This is through the actual Aveda, serving Hashem in a mode of Heid Shebeheid. What is the essence of Heid Shebeheid, the idea of serving Hashem in the mode of Heid Shebeheid? Shehu Inyan HaKabbalah Soil. It's the ultimate state of accepting Hashem's yoke. Ula Shel Torah, the yoke of Torah. Commission is boiled as it was explained before. Again, this is a reference to the Sikha that Rebbe said before the Maimer, where he brings he elaborates what did Rashbi represent. Rashbi was one of the 5 greatest Talmidim of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, and together they were responsible for ensuring the continued existence of Torah. And in fact, Rashbi in particular was the one that was connected to what? To the revelation of Pnimius HaTorah, right? So they established, or particularly in this case, we're referring to Rashbi, he established the yoke of Torah. He ensured its continued existence, as the Rebbe explained quite at length in the Sikha preceding this Maimer. V'hainu. What does that mean, the yoke of Torah? What does it mean? What's the ultimate state of learning Torah with Kabbalah Soil? A person does not reckon with the limitations of space, of time and space. And generally, he serves Hashem in what mode? He is completely not dictated by reason, by reasoning, by rational thinking. What does that mean? You go beyond, even when rational thinking tells you, perhaps now I shouldn't be learning Torah, for whatever reason it might be, because of daigas, because of other things. A person is so determined and so connected to, essentially, to Hashem and to Torah, that it supersedes everything. For Lachain, therefore, not only does space and time not conceal or cover up upon the person. In other words, not only does it not interfere with his learning Torah, El Adrab, on the contrary, Shigam Bizman Lochem, on the contrary, even in time and space, he brings about Usfartem Lochem, he transforms time and space through his learning of the Torah. That is the ultimate state of learning Torah with Kabbalah Soil. Time and space not only do not hinder, but you actually sanctify and elevate time and space, and you have and permeate it with what? With the union of learning Torah. With this, we will go back and understand. If you remember, one of the questions that Rebbe asked was, it says Usfartem Lochem when? Mimocharas HaShabbos, the day after Shabbos. And the Gemara learns from this, what does it mean, Mimocharas HaShabbos? It doesn't mean the day after Shabbos, as we know it, meaning Sunday, but it means the day after the first day of Pesach, which is also referred to as Shabbos. And in fact, there's a whole discussion in the Gemara that the Tzadukim said that it means what? Mimocharas HaShabbos, it means on Sunday. And that's why sometimes Fir Seimer, according to them, is more than 50 days, right? Or less, perhaps. In other words, it's the according to them, it's the Sunday following the Shabbos that follows Pesach, right? The first day of Pesach.
You still would have done 50 days, didn't they? They just ended up with Shiur on a different day.
One of the discussions the Gemara says over there is that there would be a discrepancy with Shavuos. I don't remember exactly the Gemara now offhand, but then there would be a discrepancy when Shavuos falls out, right? But be that as it may, according to them, the counting of the Omer was from the Shabbos, the Sunday following the Shabbos, which followed the first day of Pesach. We go through a whole process of deducing and learning that it actually means what? The day following the first day of Pesach. Frek the Rebbe Kasha, if you mean the day following the first day of Pesach, say it. Why do you have to say it in such a roundabout way? Min Machras Shabbos. So the Rebbe explains over here that this is exactly the point. The Torah is saying that it's the day it refers to the day following Shabbos for a very specific reason. And this is what the Rebbe explains now. Chapter Vov. This is also why. When the Torah tells us when we have to start counting the Omer, it says we should start counting the Omer the day following Shabbos, specifically the day following Shabbos, which is a reference to what? To the first day of Pesach. The idea behind this is the hinei klolus seder ishtalshalus nikba bedarge shel kedima veichur. The entire order of descent. In other words, the system that the Eibishter has, that God has installed for the creation and the existence of the world, has been set in this context of that which precedes and that which comes later. Moti v'loy moti, reaching and not reaching. I'll explain that in a minute. Generally, what are we talking about? We're talking about time and the order of time. What is time? Time means there's something before and there's something later. So there is, in order for the next one to come into being, into focus, into existence, the preceding one has to come to an end. When we talk about Lamaila in Ruchnius, of course, there's not the time as we know it doesn't exist in the spiritual realms. But there is what's called Seder Zmanim, the order of time. And that has to do with the way the Seder Ishtalshalos, the Spheros, the attributes, relate to one another and how they come into being. In order for Bina to come into existence, Chochmah has to end. Bina begins where Chochmah ends. So to Das, so to Chesed, and so on and so forth. If Chochmah would continue to exist within, we're talking about within the realm of Bina, right? It has to allow for Bina to come into existence. Otherwise, there would be no Bina. It would continue to be Chochmah. So how does it work? The way the godly energy comes down, so to speak, becomes revealed from beyond into the order of Sfiris, it's b'bchinas moti v'le moti. It reaches and it doesn't reach. This is the mirror image of the Rotzav Hashev that we discussed in previous Mamorim. Rotzav Hashev talks about the expiring and returning, refers to the Koyach Eliki, the godly energy, as it is within human beings or created beings, even angels. Moti v'le moti is the other way around. How that Koyach Eliki, the godly energy, comes from Hashem down to below. So there is an emanation, and then it pulls back. So when there is an emanation, Chochmah receives. So it's in the mode of receiving. It knows only about it only knows that it's receiving. It can't transmit. Then the godly energy pulls back. So all of a sudden it's like a kind of a pause. Chochmah now has the ability to what? To transmit further. Similarly, Bina. So this is a continuous process that goes on from one sphera to the next sphera, and that's how you have Seder Ishtalshalos. This is the idea of Seder Zmanim, the order of time, as it is within the spiritual realms. It means the previous one allowing for the next one to come into existence. Okay? So this is the idea of Seder Ishtalshalos. In other words, when we talk about Seder Zmanim, Biruchnis, what are we talking about in the spiritual sense? We're talking about time, spiritual time. Now, so when we say counting days, what are we talking about counting days? It means refining, lifting time, right? Transforming the time to Kedusha. Now, how could you cause Kedusha, how could you cause time to be transformed? You need a power which is greater than time. A koyach, a power, a spiritual power, which is greater than it, which is beyond it. What is Shabbos? We know that Seder Ishtalshalos, why there's 7 days in the week. That's a direct result of the 7 middas, right? So Shabbos Kodesh, it's a holy day. It's the holiest day of the week. There is no holier day than Shabbos. In other words, there's no higher dimension of time than what Shabbos represents. But nevertheless, it's still related to time. It's the holiest day within what? Within the confines of time. So this is the idea of Usfartem Lochem, mimocher as a Shabbos. Usfartem Lochem, if you want to transform time, you have to link into a level which is mimocher as a Shabbos. The day after Shabbos, meaning to say a level which is higher than Shabbos, higher than time, higher than the order of time. And from there you draw down to refine time. And to lift the whole idea of the midas and so on and so forth to Kedusha. Omnam, in order for there to be able to be this concept of Usfartem Lochem, of counting. the days, which means, the Rebbe spells it out, levarer is called say the ishtalshalos. The idea of counting the days in Sfiras Eimer is the idea of refining the entire order of descent, the entire order of the system the Eibush put in for the existence of the world. So to refine that, all adlam mata mata ba'emek tachas, to refine it until the very, very lowest levels. In the depths of the lowest levels, the power, the strength for us to do this, we have to take from the level which is the day after Shabbos, beyond Shabbos. What does that mean? We have to link into a level which is higher than the entire concept of time, even spiritual time, as we just described it. The Hine. And the Rebbe spells it out. Hamadrega Yisuf Nans bin Nazman Hu Inyan Shabbos. The highest level within the concept of time is Shabbos. Because after the 6 days of the week comes Shabbos, which is sanctified from all the days of the week. The Shabbos Mekacha V'Kaima. Shabbos is holy on its own, meaning to say, Yom Tif, it says, we say, Shabbos is called Shabbos Kodesh, it's holy. Yom Tov becomes holy through the fact that a Yid makes it holy. In other words, you need to have a Rosh Chodesh. You have to determine when the beginning of the month is, and that determines when is the 15th of the month, and so on and so forth. Which means that it needs some intervention from the human being in order for it to become holy, for Yom Tov to become a holy day, right? Shabbos is holy on its own. So even though, in other words, Shabbos is a higher level of holiness. So although Shabbos is the highest level of holiness, nevertheless, it's still something which is within the realm of time. When the Torah says why we should keep Shabbos, it says because Hashem created the world in 6 days and He rested on the seventh, right? So in other words, it's the 7th of the 6th. So it's still related to the idea of time. The Kibush is Adayin Begeder Zman, since it's still within the confines of time. Even though it's holy time, it's enough for it to exempt itself, to cancel itself out, so to speak. In other words, it has enough holiness to be holy on its own, but it doesn't have the potency, the power to transform all of time. It's not enough. Its potency is not strong enough to transform the shtus, the folly of l'umazah, the opposite of kedusha. And therefore, when there needs to be the idea of counting the days, which is what? Which means to refine the seder of time, to refine hishtashlos, to refine the soul, the animal soul, to the very depths and the very depths of the lowest levels. The power for this we take from what? From where? Mimachras Shabbos, from the day which is after Shabbos, meaning what? L'mayla filaminin HaShabbos. We take from a level which is even higher than Shabbos. The Shabbos Mekacha V'Kaima, even higher than the level of Shabbos, which is holy on its own, which is what? In simple terms, Bechina Shalamayla Maseder Shtalshalos. We link into a level which is beyond the order of descent, beyond the seder of the system that Hashem put in for the existence and creation of the world. We link into something which is much higher. That gives us the ability to draw that into time and to transform it, to transform the shtus to the shtus of kedusha.